Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. Years ago, I was cheated on by my ex-wife. We later found out she was pregnant and the child wasn't mine. I was in a different state for months during the time of conception. The biological father wanted no part in this, so in the end, I decided to take full responsibility. I was still going through with divorcing her, but agreed we'd have a joint custody agreement. It was a complicated delivery, and my ex did not make it. Because of that, I was given full custody of my daughter, Nat. It still made me sad that my daughter lost out on having her mom. Despite my issues with my ex, I knew she would have been a wonderful mother, and she loved Nat. Since day one, my family was completely against my choice to have anything to do with my daughter. We had many arguments for months, and I explained I wasn't doing this for my ex, but for my daughter, who was innocent in all of this, and for myself, because I love that little girl. They never accepted it, my mom especially. She was cheated on by my dad before their divorce, so this hit close to home for her. They met Nat several times when she was a baby, never wanted to interact, and ignored her existence. The last straw for me was her first birthday party. No one in my family showed up, so I decided that if that's how they'll always act with an innocent child, then I won't have any part in their lives. It's been this way for years. Nat is 5 and still continues to be the light of my life. I found out through a surprise invitation that my mom is getting remarried next year. Getting this invitation made me think maybe they finally came around. That wasn't the case when I spoke to my mom for the first time in years. She doesn't want Nat there. Not because it's a kids-free wedding, but because it still doesn't feel right to her, and she doesn't want any sort of reminders of infidelity at her wedding. I was crushed. It's not just a wedding. Her feelings on the matter haven't changed at all. So I said I won't be going. This is causing problems now, and I'm being berated by my brothers for making my mom upset since I'm the only one of her children who won't be there. They get we have our issues, but I can't punish her for not wanting to accept my daughter if that's how she feels, and it's her special day after all. I told them she has a right to feel however she does, but that means I have a right to not be involved either. This has only set them off even more for being petty with my family, and I should understand they are only angry on my behalf for being cheated on, which I get, but I don't see why it ever needed to be directed at my daughter. This situation has given me nothing but migraines, and I'm considering blocking them all. Before I do, I have to admit their words are getting to me, and I want to know what others think here. Am I truly an a-hole for not attending the wedding? Oh my God, not an a-hole. Not in any way, shape, or form. OP is a golden human. OP took on a child that he didn't have to, and she's his world. I have several words to describe OP's family, but I'd rather not. OP should keep being his amazing self and raising that beautiful, innocent child. My 27 male, wife, 26 female, and I have been together since 2012. We started dating young and got married at 23. It was the greatest decision of my life. She means the world to me, and then some, and I love this woman. We've helped each other grow over the years, and about a year ago, we decided to start trying for a baby. A year later, and no luck. My wife made an appointment with her doctor and found out that there's a 99.9% chance that she'll not be able to conceive naturally, and that IVF is our best and only real option. So we started looking into the cost of that, and we cannot swing it with our own money. We just bought a house together. We don't have any extra spending money, though we both have great jobs. So I decided I'd go to my mother and ask if she would help pay for it or loan us the money, because she paid for my older sister to have IVF done 2 years ago. She laughed in my face, told me that she only paid for my sister's because that's her real daughter, and that my girlfriend should ask her mom. She knows she passed away. She was being a smart aleck. She suggested I find another wife that has a working reproductive system. Keep in mind, my parents are very wealthy people. I know they can afford it, and it wouldn't make a dent in their wallet. They just don't want to help us. She's always had some personal vendetta against my wife. Dare I say it's because she's not fully white? So I told them I was done with them, that the comments they made were disgusting, and that they should be treating my wife like she's their daughter. That this is for me as well, and that it's BS. Family friends are now siding with my parents, saying that they understand why she'd pay for my sister's IVF, but not mine and my wife's. Am I an a-hole for cutting them off for refusing to help us when they helped my sister? Edit. My mom has never been vile and cruel to my wife before now, and I didn't demand the money. I simply asked her and stated it's what I believed was fair. Her telling me that me never having a baby is okay, but my sister never having a baby is a completely unacceptable thing that she needed to fix ASAP is what really set the fact that I was done in stone. My entire life, my sister's needs have been prioritized over my own, and this was the last straw. I may seem entitled, but I finally got the balls to ask my mom for fair treatment and was extremely let down by her response. Edit 2. This was absolutely not the first time things like this have happened. They paid for all of my sister's wedding. Most they did for mine was buy the tux. I haven't asked my parents for a thing in a long time. I'm still currently paying off my student loans because I didn't even want to ask them. So I did it myself, put myself through college, and now have a bachelor's degree in business. My accomplishment was not celebrated, but when my older sister graduated college, they bought her a brand new washer and dryer for her apartment. I haven't received a handout from my parents since I was 18 and asked for money for a new transmission for my car. It's not a new thing, which makes it worse. I don't think OP is an a-hole. His mother sounds like a horrible person, laughing in OP's face, commenting on the fact that his wife's mother passed away, telling OP to marry someone working. Those are some pretty nasty comments. She doesn't have to pay for OP's IVF. Nobody owes that to another. But the fact that she paid for OP's sisters is pretty crappy though, and tells OP where he stands with her. I'm 27 female, and my husband is 30. We tried for a few years to have a baby. Long story short, it didn't work out, and we ended up going through a couple rounds of IVF. Fast forward. We find out we're pregnant, and we are super happy, like over the moon ecstatic. We couldn't wait for the 12-week mark to tell people, and started working on a nursery right away. However, we got to our scan and find out we are having 4 babies. 4. That's insane. I'm cutting a lot of backstory out because honestly, it's hard for me to talk about. At the time, my husband and I are just in shock, but happy we have healthy babies. Now, I'm a small woman, 5'0" and very petite. At my next scan, it was suggested I consider aborting 2 of the pregnancies for the sake of my body. And to be honest, I was quietly considering bringing this idea up to my husband anyway because of the money involved with raising 4 children. We could afford 2 babies, but no way we could afford 4. Me and my husband are distraught that this is our reality, but we went home and tried to figure it out. From our latest scan, we know we have identical twin girls and 2 fraternal boys in there. If we go through with the selective abortion, which we most likely will, I brought up that I would like to keep the 2 girls, as they are identical twins. I'm hoping they have the twin bond. And also, to be honest, I've always wanted girls. My husband is on board with this, but as soon as I told my mother and sister the scenario, they kicked off, calling us selfish, entitled, saying we are searching for designer babies, etc. The way I see it is that we have to make a choice which babies go if we do this, and it breaks our hearts that we are in this position, but we need to do what we can for the sake of our children. This story sounds so tragic, like a soap storyline or something, but it's honestly the hardest thing I have ever done. So my question is both. Am I the a-hole for having a preference in this? Not the a-hole, but I would suggest OP tells her parents and sister, and whomever else she confided in, that the doctor is now thinking that 2 of the embryos are no longer growing as they should, so OP and her husband are leaving it in the hands of fate. After every scan, OP should let them know that 2 have stopped growing, because I guarantee you, one day, someone is going to tell OP's little girls that OP got rid of their brothers. OP should not take that risk. When my husband was in high school, he dated his best friend at the time for 2 months. They didn't break up. She died in a car accident, God rest her soul. I also attended the same high school, albeit as a student 2 years junior, but we only started dating after we both went to colleges that were close by each other. From when we started dating to now, my husband has had a stuffed bear with an audio clip of his ex saying, "I love you" in it. You know, one of those bears that you squeeze and they say the audio. Every night, he squeezes it, and it supposedly helps him fall asleep. He never went to therapy to get over her death, and the fact that he still has the bear and squeezes it to help him fall asleep at least once every night leads me to believe that he still hasn't moved on from her death. At first, when we started dating, I was okay with it. I know that everyone has different times for processing loss, and that she wasn't just his lover, but also based on what he told me. She was his best friend who was there for some hard times in his life. However, as the years went on and he remained attached to the bear, if not more so, I suggested and started pushing for therapy. He adamantly refused at the time, saying we couldn't afford it, which was true, because we were both struggling financially. Now, however, we're both financially stable and able to afford therapy. He still refuses to go. We got into a huge fight about it yesterday, and I ended up taking his bear. I told him that I won't give it back until he promises to either attend some sort of online counseling or actual therapy when this pandemic is over. My husband is extremely upset with me. I don't want him to get rid of the bear by any means. I think that it's a lovely idea to continue to honor the memory of his best friend. But his attachment to the bear is nuts. He needs to hug it every night no matter what, panics if I take it for a bit to wash or clean it, etc. I want him to keep the bear, but stop being so attached to it. I communicated this to him several times over the years, but he has either brushed me off or told me that I'm disrespecting his ex. I know at face value what I did is definitely an a-hole move, but I think I have enough justification and reason behind my actions. It's going to be 22 years next month since she died, and I just don't think his obsessive attachment for this long is healthy. Still though, my husband hasn't talked to me ever since the fight, unless it's him demanding the bear. I'm starting to feel like I did the wrong thing. Edit. I don't know how this got so twisted, but I am not jealous of the bear or his late girlfriend. The issue isn't the bear, it's my concern for my husband's mental health. Maybe I made a poor judgment call, but it sure as hell wasn't me acting out of my own jealousy. OP can encourage him to get therapy if she wants, but it's ultimately his decision. He clearly has some issue with anxiety, and OP stealing the possession he uses to calm himself down is going to make it worse. OP needs to give it back now and apologize profusely if she wants to save her marriage. I'm in my late 50s, and my wife left me over 20 years ago. To keep it short, we were both having affairs in a very unhappy marriage. I have 5 kids, 2 with my first marriage. My oldest, in his 30s and married now, has never cared for the BS surrounding and has a great relationship with both of his parents now. My daughter, early 30s, from day one picked sides and refused to have any kind of relationship with me. She sides with my ex on everything. I feel that explaining these details is relevant. We went to therapy as a family for 12 years. I took her to dinner, just the 2 of us, every Thursday night for years before she got too old for her mom to force her. I wasn't invited to her graduation, high school, or college, and she didn't even come to her brother's because I would be there. She didn't come to her brother's or my wedding. Openly hates my wife and my son's wife. Ex admits that she wanted our daughter to be on her team and did talk badly about me with her, but expresses regret for this and has tried to encourage our daughter to work on things. Nothing has worked. She just doesn't like me. I remarried and had 3 more kids. I'm an old dad now. They are all under 13, and she has never met any of them or my wife by choice. My son loves his siblings and his stepmom and is over all the time. This has been very painful for me. My ex remarried 3 more times and had 6 more kids. My daughter didn't get along with any of them and doesn't seem to care for any of her step-siblings, according to my son. Well, my daughter had a very close call recently, and on what we thought would be her deathbed, she expressed that she never thought of me as her father and didn't even want me in the room. She also asked her mom to make sure I, my wife, and my son's wife didn't go to the funeral. Well, thankfully she made a recovery, and 6 weeks later is fully back to normal. Since she made it clear how she feels, I've decided to sell the house I bought for her. I bought both of my kids' homes when they turned 22. And cancel the credit card I had been letting her use that I paid for since she was 16. She was notified she had 10 days until she was evicted, and the credit card is canceled. I mailed her a check for what I felt was a fair portion of what I had set aside for her, but nowhere near close to what I would have given someday to my daughter. I made it clear that this was the last money she'd be getting from me. I got a nasty phone call and email from my ex-wife, her parents, and my parents, and even my daughter-in-law thinks I'm being harsh. I feel at peace with my decision, and like a lifelong battle for my daughter's love can finally be put to rest. Am I an a-hole? Not an a-hole. If OP's daughter doesn't consider OP her father, was she just pretending to have an anonymous benefactor funding her life? It's ridiculous for her to have nothing to do with OP, but keep her hand out for his financial help.